AITA for replying. I had a vasectomy 3 years ago, after my girlfriend said she was pregnant. My name is Matthew. I'm 32 years old, and until recently, I thought I had a solid relationship with my girlfriend, Sophie, who is 29. We had been together for 2.5 years, living together for the last 8 months in my downtown condo. Our first year was great. We did the typical couple stuff. She appreciated that I had my life together, that I was a homeowner and not some man-child who still didn't know how to do his own laundry. I appreciated that she was independent, had her own career, and didn't need me to bankroll her entire existence. But there's something about Sophie that I should probably mention from the start. She always had a subtle way of testing boundaries. Nothing major at first, just little things. She'd forget her wallet and expect me to pay for dinner. She would hint at expensive gifts by showing me things her coworkers' boyfriends bought them. She would comment on how we should upgrade my condo or that we needed a better car, even though she drove a perfectly functional BMW her parents had bought her. I'm not saying she was a gold digger. She made good money on her own, but there was definitely an expectation that my role was to be the provider/ATM, with emotional support as a secondary function. Looking back, those little tests were her way of gauging how much she could get away with, how far she could push before I pushed back. The vasectomy needs some context. About 5 years ago, when I was 27 and decidedly single after a brutal breakup, I made a decision that would later turn out to be one of the smartest of my life. I got a vasectomy. My older brother, Andrew, had just gone through an absolutely horrific divorce. His ex-wife had gotten pregnant by accident, right around the time he was having doubts about the relationship. He did the right thing, married her, and spent the next 3 years in complete misery before she filed for divorce and took him for everything. Child support, alimony, half his retirement, the works. Watching him go through that was like witnessing a slow-motion car crash. He'd come over to my place, drink my beers, and just stare at the wall, completely broken. "Don't ever let someone trap you like that," he told me one night. "The moment you give up control of your reproductive choices, you're at the mercy of someone else's agenda." That conversation stuck with me, combined with the fact that I never really wanted kids, not the maybe someday that people usually say. The decision was clear. I scheduled the procedure, took a long weekend from work, and spent the recovery watching movies with zero regrets. The procedure itself was no big deal. Local anesthetic, about 30 minutes in the doctor's office, and then a weekend on the couch with frozen peas and Netflix. My doctor was an older guy who had done thousands of these. "Smart choice," he told me. "Too many men just hope for the best and end up with surprises. You're taking control of your future." I was always upfront with every woman I dated after that. Not on the first date, obviously, but when things started getting serious, I'd have the talk. "Hey, just so you know, I had a vasectomy. Kids are not in my future. If that's a deal breaker, I totally understand." Most respected the honesty, even if it meant we weren't compatible long-term. When Sophie and I started dating, I told her around the 3rd month, right when we were having the "what are we doing here" talk. We were at my place, had just finished dinner, and I figured it was time to be clear. "There's something I need to tell you," I said, turning off the TV. "I had a vasectomy a couple of years ago. I don't want children, and I've made that permanent. If that's something you want in your future, I get it, but I need you to know where I stand." She was quiet for a moment, processing it. Then she smiled and said, "Honestly, I'm not sure I want kids either. My career is really important to me, and I've seen what having kids does to women in my field. Maybe in 10 years, I'll feel differently, but right now, I'm good with that." I was relieved. We weren't rushing toward anything. We were just enjoying what we had. She even joked about it sometimes. "Well, at least we don't have to worry about that," she'd say with a laugh whenever we saw one of her friends dealing with a screaming toddler during brunch. But what I didn't know was that she was lying. Not necessarily about wanting kids, but about accepting my decision. She thought she could change my mind, work around it, or, as it turned out, just pretend my vasectomy didn't exist when it became inconvenient for her plans. Everything seemed fine until it wasn't. The first red flag should have been her sudden increased interest in my finances about 6 months ago. It started casually enough, asking about my 401k plan, what my condo was worth, if I'd ever thought about investing in property. I assumed she was just getting more serious about our future together, maybe thinking about long-term compatibility. Then came the comments about her friends. Melissa's boyfriend just bought her a car. He just did it because he loves her and wanted to spoil her. Or, Sarah's boyfriend proposed with a $15,000 ring. Can you believe it? I'm not an idiot. I knew exactly what she was doing, dropping hints, planting seeds, testing my reaction. But I played it cool. I didn't take the bait. When she made those comments, I'd just shrug and say something like, good for them, and change the subject. The thing is, I've been careful with money my entire adult life. I watched my parents struggle financially growing up. I watched my brother get wiped out in his divorce. I wasn't about to let anyone pressure me into making stupid financial decisions just to prove love or commitment. Money is a tool, not a love language. And anyone who thinks otherwise isn't someone I want to build a life with. Looking back, I can see the shift in her behavior more clearly now. The work trips started increasing from twice a month to practically every week. She'd be gone for 3 or 4 days at a time, supposedly for conferences or to meet with clients. She was always on her phone, angling it away from me, smiling at texts, then quickly locking her screen. Classic signs, right? But here's the thing about being a decent person in a relationship: you want to trust. You don't want to be that paranoid boyfriend who checks phones and demands passwords. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Pharmaceutical sales is demanding. She's building her career. She's allowed to have private conversations. I remember one night in particular about 3 months ago when she was packing for another trip. I was helping her organize her suitcase, and her phone kept buzzing on the dresser. She'd glance at it, smile, and keep folding clothes. After the 5th notification, I finally said, "Don't you want to get that?" She looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite place. "It's just work stuff, nothing important." Seems like a lot of work stuff for 8 p.m. on a Sunday. "Well, pharma sales don't stop just because it's the weekend," she snapped, then immediately softened her tone. "Sorry, I'm just stressed about this trip. It's a big presentation." I let it go, but that moment stuck with me. The way she got defensive so quickly, the way she immediately pivoted to an apology. It felt rehearsed, like she had been prepared for that exact conversation. About 2 months ago, she started getting weird with her insistence on talking about our future. She'd bring it up at the most random times, while we were grocery shopping, during TV commercials, right before bed. "Where do you see us in 5 years? Do you think we're building something together?" I'd give her honest answers. I saw us together, happy, traveling, enjoying life. I saw us as a team. But that apparently wasn't the right answer. She wanted something more concrete, more financial, more binding. One night, she just asked me outright, "Do you ever think about getting married?" Sure, eventually, when the time is right and it makes sense for both of us. And what would make it the right time? I don't know. When we both feel secure in where we're headed, I guess. She got frustrated with that answer, saying I was being vague and noncommittal. But the truth was, I'd been having doubts for months. The constant boundary pushing, the financial hints, the increasingly frequent trips, the secrecy with her phone, it all added up to something that didn't feel right. I just couldn't put my finger on what, exactly, was wrong. Then, 3 weeks ago, she went on another work trip, this time to Atlanta for a regional pharma conference. She was gone for 4 days, texting me occasionally with vague updates about boring seminars and long dinners with colleagues. When she came back, she was different. Not bad different, but energized in a way that felt strange. She was more affectionate than usual, almost clingy, cooking elaborate dinners, initiating physical intimacy more often, asking about my day with an intense interest she hadn't shown in months. I figured maybe she had just missed me more than usual, or the trip had reminded her of what we had. I didn't question it. The intimacy was different, too, more urgent, more intense. She'd always been confident in bed, but this was something else, like she was trying to prove something or convince me of something. In the moment, I enjoyed it, but afterward, lying in the dark, I'd wonder what had changed. 2 weeks ago, I was at work, deep in a network security problem, when my phone buzzed. A text from Sophie. "We need to talk tonight. It's important." My stomach immediately dropped. Those words never mean anything good. I spent the rest of the workday distracted, running through all the possible scenarios. Was she breaking up with me? Did someone die? Was there a problem with the condo? I got home around 6, and she wasn't there. Another text. "Running late. We'll be there around 8. Please don't make dinner plans. Okay, now I was really worried. I sat on the couch, my anxiety mounting, trying to focus on anything else. I put a game on, but I couldn't follow it. I tried to read, but the words wouldn't stick. Eventually, I just gave up and waited. The minutes crawled by. 7:30. I kept checking my phone, refreshing my messages, wondering if she'd text again. At 7:45, I heard her car pull into the garage. My heart started racing. Finally, around 7:50, she walked in. She looked nervous, clutching her phone like a lifeline. She had clearly been crying. Her eyes were red and puffy, her mascara slightly smudged. "Hey," I said, standing up. "Are you okay?" She took a deep breath, set her purse down, and looked at me with a strange expression I couldn't quite decipher. Part fear, part determination, and part something else I couldn't identify. "I need to tell you something." "Here it comes," I thought. The room started spinning. "Pregnant? How? When?" My brain couldn't process what I was hearing. It was as if she'd told me the sky was green or that water wasn't wet, a statement so absurd and fundamentally impossible that my mind immediately rejected it. "What?" was all I could manage to say. "I'm pregnant," she repeated, and now the tears were starting. "I know we didn't plan it, but it happened. I'm about 5 weeks along." 5 weeks. That lined up with her trip to Atlanta. But it made no sense. We had been using protection even with my vasectomy, because that's just smart practice. And more importantly, "Sophie," I said slowly, my mind racing, "that's not possible." "I know it's a shock," she continued, as if she hadn't heard me. "But we need to figure this out. We need to talk about our future now. What we're going to do, how we're going to handle this financially, logistically, everything." The way she said financially set off every alarm bell in my head. This wasn't a scared woman sharing unexpected news. This was a calculated speech, like she was delivering a business proposal. "Sophie," I said again more firmly, "I had a vasectomy 3 years ago. You know that." She waved her hand dismissively, like she was shooing away an annoying fly. "Vasectomies aren't 100% effective. They can fail. It's rare, but it happens." I looked it up. Now I was getting angry. The sheer audacity of this woman to stand in my living room, in my own condo, and try to gaslight me about my own medical history. "They are 99.9% effective after the first year," I said, my voice cold. "And I've been tested twice since the procedure. 0 sperm count both times. The last test was 8 months ago. I have the lab results in my filing cabinet." Her face went pale. She clearly wasn't expecting me to have actual data. Most guys probably don't get the follow-up tests, but I'm thorough. My brother's disaster taught me to verify everything, to never just assume something worked because a doctor said so. "Well, then you must be in that 0.1%, she said, but her voice was shaking now. Her hands were trembling, and she kept shifting her weight from foot to foot. Classic signs of someone whose lie was crumbling in real time. "I'm not." I pulled out my phone, already knowing exactly what I had to do. "In fact, why don't you come with me right now to get a paternity test? If I'm the father, I'll do whatever it takes. But if I'm not..." She recoiled as if I'd suggested something awful. "It's too early for a paternity test. You can't do one until the 2nd trimester. "That's not true," I said, my IT brain kicking in with the research I'd done years ago helping my brother. Non-invasive prenatal paternity tests exist as early as 7 weeks. You say you're 5 weeks, so in 2 weeks, we can know for sure. "This is insane," she yelled, and now she was really crying, not the calculated tears from before, but ugly, heaving sobs. "I'm telling you I'm pregnant with your child, and you're accusing me of lying." "I'm not accusing you of anything," I said calmly, though I was raging inside. "I'm telling you that medically and scientifically, it is virtually impossible for me to be the father. So either you're mistaken about the timeline, or there's someone else." The look on her face told me everything I needed to know. Guilt, panic, the realization that her plan was falling apart right in front of her. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. "Get out," I said quietly. "Sophie, get out of my condo. Now. We need to talk about this," she said, her voice rising to a shriek. "You can't just kick me out. I live here. You don't live here. You stay here. Your name isn't on the lease. You don't pay rent. This is my home, and I'm telling you to leave. And where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem. Call your parents. Call a friend. Call whoever actually got you pregnant. But get out of my condo. Now." She grabbed her purse and left, slamming the door so hard the pictures on the wall shook. I stood there for a long moment, just breathing, trying to process what had just happened. My hands were shaking, my heart was pounding. Adrenaline was coursing through me like I'd just run a marathon. Then I called Kevin. "Dude, you are not going to believe this," I said when he answered. "Try me." I laid out the whole story for him, every last detail. The pregnancy announcement, her insistence the vasectomy must have failed, her refusal of an early paternity test, the way she immediately jumped to talking about money. By the time I finished, Kevin was laughing so hard he could barely breathe. "Are you seriously telling me she tried to baby trap you with another man's kid?" "Seems like it. And she didn't know about the follow-up tests?" "Clearly not. Matthew, my man, you just dodged a nuclear missile." And he wasn't wrong. We talked for another hour. Kevin helped me piece together the timeline, the Atlanta trip, her sudden affection when she returned, the way she'd been trying to financially tie me down, all those questions about my assets and future plans. It all pointed to the same conclusion. She had gotten pregnant on that trip, likely with someone she'd been seeing for a while, and decided I was the best option to raise the child. "Think about it," Kevin said. "You have a stable job, you own your own place, you're the responsible guy. Whoever the other dude is, he's probably married, or broke, or just not father material. You were the logical choice." "That's even worse," I said. "She literally did a cost-benefit analysis and decided I was the best financial option. Welcome to modern dating, bro." The manipulation of it all was stunning. She had literally tried to trap me with another man's baby, betting that I would just accept it and step up, that I'd be too decent, too trusting, too invested in the relationship to question her. She had calculated that my sense of responsibility would override my logic. After I hung up with Kevin, I sat on the couch, feeling something I hadn't felt in years, gratitude for my brother's horrific divorce. If he hadn't gone through hell, if I hadn't watched him get destroyed by someone's reproductive lies, I never would have gotten that vasectomy. I'd be in the exact same trap right now, believing her story, preparing to raise another man's child. I got out my laptop and started documenting everything. I screenshotted our text conversation. I wrote down the timeline of events while it was still fresh in my mind. I made notes about her behavior over the last few months, the increasing trips, the secrecy, the financial questions. If this was going to get ugly, I wanted documentation. Around 10 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Sophie. "Can we please talk? I'm at Brittany's." I didn't mean for this to go so wrong. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. "You can come get your things this weekend when I'm not here. I'll leave a key with the building manager. After that, we're done." Her reply came back in seconds. "You're making a huge mistake. We can fix this. I love you. Please don't throw away what we have over this." I didn't reply. Instead, I called my building manager and gave him a heads up that my ex-girlfriend would be by to collect her belongings. I also installed a new security camera in my living room, pointed at the door. Call me paranoid, but I wanted exact documentation of what she took in case she tried to claim I stole something or damaged her property. I'd read enough stories on Reddit about exes making false accusations to know I had to protect myself. The camera was one of those smart ones that automatically records to the cloud. It cost me $150, but it was worth every penny for the peace of mind it gave me. I set it up on the bookshelf, angled so it would capture anyone coming through the front door, and tested it from my phone. Crystal clear picture, time-stamped, and everything. Then I went through the condo, doing a mental inventory of what was mine and what was hers. Most of the furniture was mine from before she moved in. The TV, the couch, the bedroom set, all mine. She had brought clothes, toiletries, some kitchen items, and that one hideous piece of abstract art she insisted on hanging in the bedroom. I took pictures of everything, just in case. I documented the state of the apartment and made a list of my valuables. If she tried to claim I kept her stuff or damaged anything, I'd have proof. Friday night, I went to Kevin's place. His wife, Hannah, made dinner while Kevin and I played video games in the basement like we were teenagers again. Only now we had better equipment and worse reflexes. "Are you doing okay?" Hannah asked over dinner. She'd made an incredible lasagna, and we were sitting around their dining table like it was any normal night, except my life had just imploded. "Yeah," I said, and to my surprise, I meant it. I'm pissed, but I'm also relieved. Better to find out now than 5 years from now with a kid involved. What's your next move? Kevin asked, reaching for another piece of garlic bread. Nothing really. I move on with my life. She can deal with whoever actually got her pregnant. You think she'll try to come back? He asked. Probably. But I'm done. Hannah shook her head. I can't believe she thought that would work. She really thought you'd just accept it. I think she thought I'd be too decent to question it, I said. That my sense of responsibility would kick in and I'd just step up because that's what good guys do. That's pure manipulation, Hannah said. And honestly, pretty insulting. Like you're just a wallet on legs, grateful for the chance to raise someone else's kid. Basically, I replied. We spent the rest of the night just hanging out, watching a movie, keeping things normal. It was exactly what I needed, a reminder that life goes on, that this wasn't the end of the world, just the end of a relationship built on lies. Saturday afternoon, my building manager called to confirm Sophie had picked up her things. She took a lot of boxes, he said, and she was crying the whole time. Kept asking if you were coming back soon. Thanks for the heads up. Oh, and she also tried to get me to let her keep a key. Said she might have forgotten some things and would need to come back. I told her no. I appreciate that. When I got home, I checked the security camera footage. Sure enough, she'd taken her stuff, clothes, toiletries, that hideous abstract art. But she'd also helped herself to some of my kitchen appliances, including my expensive Vitamix and my KitchenAid mixer, things that were 100% mine from before she ever moved in. I documented it, took screenshots, and sent them to her. You forgot to leave my things. Return them by Monday, or I'm filing a police report for theft. She responded with a flood of angry texts, calling me petty and heartless, saying I cared more about a blender than I did about her and the baby. Classic deflection, trying to make me the bad guy for calling out her theft. I replied once, return what is mine, or I file a report. Your choice. Then I blocked her number. On Sunday, her best friend, Brittany, called me from an unknown number. I only answered because I thought it might be work. How could you do this to her? Brittany demanded. She's pregnant and scared and you just threw her out. Brittany, I said calmly, did she tell you that I had a vasectomy 3 years ago? Or about the follow-up tests that confirmed it worked? Or that she refused a paternity test? Silence. Yeah, that's what I thought. Here's a free tip. Tell your friend to be honest with whoever actually got her pregnant, because it damn sure wasn't me. But she said you were the only one. She lied. She's already admitted to me there was someone else. So either she's lying to you, or she lied to me. Probably both. More silence. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. Because she's spinning a narrative to make herself the victim and me the villain. But the facts don't lie. I had a vasectomy. It was tested and confirmed successful. The baby cannot be mine. End of story. I hung up and blocked that number, too. Monday morning, I woke up to find my appliances on my doorstep with a note. I'm sorry. Please, call me. I brought the appliances inside, threw the note in the trash, cleaned the blender and mixer, put them back in their places, and got ready for work like it was any other Monday. That afternoon, she texted from another number. We need to talk. I need to explain. Against my better judgment, I replied, there's nothing to explain. You tried to pass off someone else's kid as mine. We're done. It's not like that. Please, just hear me out. Who is he? Long silence. Then, someone I met at the conference. It was a mistake. A one-night thing. I thought it could be yours. You thought it could be mine, knowing I had a vasectomy? Or you were just hoping I was stupid enough to believe you? No response. I thought so. Don't contact me again. I blocked that number too, and filed a police report documenting her harassment. Not because I thought anything would come of it, but because I wanted a paper trail in case things escalated. The officer who took my statement nodded sympathetically. We see this more than you'd think, he said. Document everything. Change your locks if you haven't already, and do not engage with her. For 2 weeks, it was quiet. No texts, no calls, no showing up at my place. I started to relax, thinking maybe she had finally accepted reality and moved on. I focused on work, got back into my gym routine, and even went on a couple of casual dates through apps. Nothing serious, just getting back out there a bit, reminding myself what it was like to talk to women who weren't actively lying to my face. Then, yesterday, I got a text from an unknown number. This is Sophie's mother. We need to talk about my daughter's situation. Here we go again. I called Kevin immediately. Dude, her mom just texted me. What are you going to do? I'm going to see what she has to say. Why would you put yourself through that? Morbid curiosity. He sighed. All right, but I'm staying on the line with you. Hang up with her mom and call me right back. I called Sophie's mom, Margaret. I'd met her a few times. Nice enough woman, very traditional values. Definitely the type who would be horrified by her daughter's situation. Matthew, she said, her voice strained. Thanks for calling. What can I do for you, Margaret? Sophie told me what happened. About the pregnancy and your reaction. Did she tell you about my vasectomy? Another pause. She mentioned you had some kind of procedure, but that those things aren't foolproof. They're 99.9% effective after the first year, Margaret. And I had mine 3 years ago, with multiple follow-up tests confirming it worked. The baby is not mine. But how can you be so sure? Sophie says you're the only person she's been with. I almost laughed. That's interesting, because she admitted to me that she slept with someone at a conference in Atlanta. So she's either lying to you, or she lied to me, or both. I didn't know that. Margaret, I'm sorry for your daughter's situation, but I am not the solution. She needs to contact the actual father and figure out what she's going to do. I am not involved. But Matthew, you and Sophie were together for over 2 years. Don't you feel any responsibility to help her through this? She tried to trap me into raising another man's child by lying about paternity. So no, I feel zero responsibility to help her deal with the consequences of her own actions. Margaret's voice hardened. My daughter made a mistake, and you're going to hold it over her head forever. She made several mistakes. I corrected her. She cheated. She got pregnant. She tried to lie about the paternity. She refused tests that would have proven the truth. Those aren't mistakes, Margaret. They're choices. Bad choices with consequences. You're being very cruel about this. I'm being realistic. Sophie is 29 years old. She made adult decisions, and now she's facing adult consequences. I'm sorry if that's hard for you to accept, but it's not my problem to solve. I hung up before she could respond and called Kevin right back. Well, her mom tried the guilt trip approach. It didn't work. They're getting desperate. Good. Maybe they'll finally focus their energy on the actual father instead of trying to drag me into it. This morning, I woke up to an email from Sophie. A long, rambling message about how she made a terrible mistake, how she was in a bad mental place during that Atlanta trip, how the guy meant nothing to her, how she realized I was the one she wanted to build a life with. She went into detail about the pressure from her family to settle down, how her younger sister just got engaged, and everyone was asking when it would be her turn, how she felt her biological clock ticking even though she'd convinced herself she didn't want kids. How meeting that guy at the bar felt like an escape from all that pressure, and one thing led to another. It ended with, I know I broke your trust, but we can get past this if you're willing to try. I love you, and I believe that deep down, you still love me. We can make this work. I will do anything to fix this. I forwarded the email to Kevin. The audacity. His reply, delete and block. She's delusional. And he wasn't wrong. The email was pure manipulation, trying to rewrite the narrative, minimize her decisions, and frame the whole thing as a temporary mental health crisis instead of a calculated plan that backfired. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she got caught. I replied once, Sophie, you didn't make a mistake. You made a series of deliberate choices, to cheat, to get pregnant, to lie about the paternity, and to try to trap me into raising another man's child. Those were not lapses in judgment. They were revelations of character. I do not love you. I don't even respect you. Move on with your life and leave me out of it. Then I blocked her email address. Kevin called right after. Harsh. Necessary. Yeah, you're right. Hey, Hannah and I are having people over this weekend for a barbecue. You should come. Might be good to get out and be around friends. I'll be there. Saturday came, and I went over to Kevin's. It was exactly what I needed. Good food, good people, and absolutely zero drama. I was manning the grill with Kevin when his neighbor stopped by to say hi. A woman named Haley who had moved in a few months ago. Matthew, this is Haley, Kevin said. Haley, this is Matthew. He's the guy I was telling you about. Network security specialist, recently single. Haley smiled. She was pretty in an understated way, auburn hair, freckles, dressed casually in jeans and a vintage band t-shirt. The vasectomy story, she said. I almost choked on my beer. Kevin told you about that? He tells everyone, she replied. It's become his favorite cautionary tale about modern dating. Great. My personal disaster is entertainment. Not entertainment, she said. Inspiration. Handling an impossible situation with logic and self-respect is rare. We ended up talking for most of the night. Haley was a mechanical engineer, owned her own condo downtown, and had recently gotten out of a long-term relationship with a guy who wanted kids, whereas she definitely did not. We exchanged numbers before she left. She's great, I told Kevin while we were cleaning up. Single, age-appropriate, has her life together. You should ask her out. This morning, I received the final contact from Sophie. A 6-page, handwritten letter delivered to my condo, detailing her entire thought process over the last few months. How she'd felt pressured by her family to settle down, how she'd panicked about her biological clock even though she'd told me she didn't want kids. How she had a one-night stand in Atlanta with a guy named Scott, whom she met at the hotel bar. She claimed it meant nothing, that she regretted it immediately, and that when she found out she was pregnant, her first thought was that the baby had to be Scott's. But maybe, just maybe, it could be mine. Could be. She convinced herself that if she just told me she was pregnant and acted confident about it, I would accept it and we would move on. I know it was wrong, she wrote. I know I should have been honest from the start, but I panicked. I saw my future falling apart, and I made terrible choices trying to save it. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I needed you to understand why I did what I did. The letter ended by saying she was going to contact Scott, tell him about the pregnancy, and figure out what to do from there. She apologized again, said she hoped I found happiness and wished me the best. I read it twice, then threw it in the trash. I texted Haley, hey, if you're free this weekend, would you want to grab coffee? Her reply came back within minutes. Sure. Saturday at 10. Perfect. My phone buzzed again. A text from Kevin. Hannah and I are taking bets. How long until you and Haley are official? I say 2 months. Hannah says 3 weeks. I laughed and texted back. Tell Hannah I hope she wins. Life is good, and it's about to get better. Update for those asking. Yes, I am pressing charges for the theft of the kitchen appliances. It's a matter of principle. Also, Sophie's friend Brittany apologized after Sophie apparently came clean to their friend group. Half of them have stopped talking to her. The other half are helping her track down Scott, who is apparently married with 2 kids and blocked Sophie after she told him about the pregnancy. As for Haley and me, coffee turned into lunch. Lunch turned into dinner. We're taking it slow, but it feels right. She actually thanked me for being upfront about the vasectomy on our first date. I wish more guys were that honest about what they want, she said. It saves a lot of time and heartache. I couldn't agree more. So that's my story. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just living well and letting karma handle the rest. Comment. This story is a powerful reminder that we can't control others' actions, but we can always control our own. Ultimately, your integrity and self-respect are your strongest assets in any crisis. By staying true to your values and setting firm boundaries, you not only protect yourself, but also pave the way for something better. Remember that living an honest life doesn't just save you from bad situations. It attracts the genuine connections you truly deserve. Take care of yourselves, and never be afraid to stand up for your truth. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.